My name is Matthew Hibden, and I'm the Strategic Communications Manager in the College of Liberal Arts at Middle Tennessee State University. I'm excited to welcome you to our latest episode of Interconnected, a web series that shows us all the ways that the liberal arts are connected to our everyday lives, even in some ways that you might not have thought of. I'm excited to be joined by Dr. Ashleigh McKinzie, who is an assistant professor in the Department of Sociology and Anthropology. And she's here to talk to us about some things that sociology can show us, even in the midst of crisis. Dr. McKinzie?
One of the things that we look at as sociologists is sort of different big patterns that shape our social lives, that shape our interactions, that also shape things that we have access to. And in the 1950s, a sociologist by the name of Robert Merton was looking at actually the aftermath of a natural disaster. And this should be familiar to a lot of folks watching this due to the Nashville tornadoes that happened in March. And Dr. Merton argued that disasters are a revealer, that disasters in times of crisis often show us things that maybe are hidden behind a veil or that are invisible. And he argues that disaster aftermaths and disasters can make things visible that we wouldn't normally otherwise think about. I've been asked by clergy, thinking about the George Floyd and all the different protests over the summer, a bunch of different clergy, evangelical, Catholic, some rabbis, different folks have come together to try to say, hey, how can we as religious leaders with some MTSU professors, some activists in the community, some police officers, how can we come together and say enough is enough? Which I think is just a really cool model, because these are groups of people that sometimes not only talk past each other, but they don't even, you know what I'm saying? A lot of times they're in opposition in terms of how to fix some issues. So absolutely, it can help us in terms of what you said, empathy towards individuals and the situations that they may find themselves in. I also think it presents a lot of opportunities to not work across the aisle, because that would imply like the political aisle, but maybe work with folks to tackle some of these social problems that prior to the pandemic, it wouldn't have seemed very likely. And a part of this empathy that you're speaking about is something that liberal arts and sociology really stress, and that is this idea of global learning. Put simply, it's critical thinking. It's the ability to place yourself in somebody else's shoes, to kind of think of these more big picture things. What impact am I having when I don't recycle? Who's having to deal with the trash that I throw on the ground? Who is, when I... trying to think of another example, but different ways of thinking about commodities we buy and who makes them and where and what is the impact of that. That's a part of global learning, and that's a part of having an empathetic sense of self that I believe liberal arts and sociology are very interested in watching grow and thrive in our students. While this has been a challenging time, and while it has revealed a lot of systemic issues that maybe, again, we don't think about in our daily lives, and that I argue connect to all of our daily lives, there is an opportunity to theorize and to think about how something like this could bring us together. I'm an eternal optimist, and so I like to think about, okay, what could this terrible time we're all going through, how could it advance science? How could it show us truly how interconnected we are, how much we depend on each other, how much we depend on our essential workers, how much we need to maybe think about what should we be doing to perhaps help those who are have more needs or who have less. So I think it's an exciting time. Emil Durkheim, a very famous sociologist, wrote about social solidarity and what holds societies together. And he argued that it was a shared culture. So maybe coming out of this pandemic, we will see some elements of a shared culture, whether that be at the level of Tennessee, Murfreesboro, the United States, that could help bring us together in ways to begin to solve some of these social problems. So I set it all up with some of the doom and gloom, but I wanted to finish off with saying that we're also very interested in how societies are cohesive, how they are healthy and functioning, and what we can do to promote that.
Thank you, Dr. McKinzie, so much for sharing what your discipline in sociology can show us about everyday life and all the unseen things that are happening in people's lives and how we can make more sense of that. So these are some mini topics that you can explore by studying sociology at MTSU. And there is a social justice concentration, work and family studies. There's all kinds of different ways you can apply this. And we hope that you'll find out more by going to our website, mtsu.edu/liberal arts. And hope you have a great day.